Welcome to Revoicing the Future, a podcast amplifying women's voices in the music industry. Just as revoicing a chord creates a completely new perspective on the invaluable notes that make up the whole, we're doing the same, giving women the space, the spotlight, and the seat at the root they've always deserved. Every month, join us for candid conversations and stories worth hearing from the women who make up this industry. This is their platform. Together, we shape the industry, one interval at a time. Revoicing the Future is presented by Women of NAMM, powered by AKG, and co-produced and edited by Natalie Morrison, Stephanie Lamond, and Julia Olson. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Revoicing the Future. I'm your host, Natalie Morrison. Happy June. It's summertime. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm so excited about this month's episode. Before I tell you about who we are talking to, just a reminder that if you haven't already, please be sure to follow us on our social media account, Revoicing the Future Podcast, and also be sure to subscribe to our new Substack page, revoiced.substack.com, to get even more content and deeper dives into the conversations that we have each month with our guests. Today's episode, I'm truly so excited about because we are traveling to Spain. Yep, you heard it here first. Coming to us all the way from Madrid, Spain, is Julia Rynkova, and she is the Sales Business Development Manager at D'Addario, and she's been with them for 14 years. Julia and I worked together when I was at D'Addario, and her and I have always had just a deep love and admiration for each other. And we have talked a lot about being a woman in music and women's leadership. And she is so incredibly passionate about it that I really wanted to bring her on so that she could tell her story, because it is truly a beautiful story. And she is just the most beautiful soul. I mentioned this towards the end of the interview, but the entire time she was smiling. She's just so passionate about what she does. And one of the coolest things about her, in my personal opinion, is that she is on the council for the Women's Empowerment Council based in Dubai, which is absolutely incredible. And we talk a lot about that and her role as the Chief Strategic Partnerships Officer. So she's blending so much of her passions in life, in her career, and is just a beautiful and incredible role model for so many. So with that being said, I hope you sit back, relax, grab your favorite snack, and I will see you next time. Hi, Julia. Welcome to Revoicing the Future. It is truly an honor to have you all the way from Spain.
It's true. Hi, Natalie. Sending you some sunny vibes from Madrid, actually. Yeah, it's like feeling like summer here already.
Amazing. Well, you and I have known each other for several years, and I can say with true confidence that we both have very deep admiration for each other and what we each contribute to the industry. And I just want to start by having you give us kind of a broad overview of how music found you.
Okay, so first thing first, I should say that I have been following your podcast and amazing stories of all your guests. And it's really, really a pleasure, an honor. And I'm a bit nervous, so let's see. But yeah, here I am. Thank you for inviting. And coming back to your question, it's a funny story because music actually found me by accident, by pure accident. So we are talking like 2004. I'm 21 years old, just graduated in international economic relations. And actually, I have no idea what I want to do. I mean, 21-year-old, come on. So I see this job offer, like for the impact manager position. I thought like, okay, impact manager. I graduated international economic relations. It should be like, connected. So I come to the job interview. I enter the showroom, and the first thing I see are like people playing guitars, trying drums, cymbals and so on. And I was like, oh, maybe I should run away. You should know that, like, it's funny enough, I come from quite a music family. My grandfather was a violin player. My mom was singing. My aunt is playing piano and was a dean in a music school. But all my youth, I was growing up with the idea that music is not my talent. And I had like this strong idea that like, if you are not a musician, you don't belong to this world. You don't understand it. So of course, like my first reaction was like, oh, music. No. It's not for me. But then I was convinced just to do the job interview and to see. So this is the first ever entrance to music industry.
Wow. So you mentioned that this was an accident. What ultimately convinced you not to run away from the job interview?
Honestly, it all happened so fast. I think I didn't have even time to think after the job interview, because it turned out to be, it was a music distributor company. The owner just told me, come tomorrow, and handed me a pile of music instrument products. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm in. I was often thinking about it. I think it was not so much logical at that moment, but more like out of curiosity. It's just that, I love to say yes to challenges. And maybe at that time, with like all this youth spirit, I thought like, let's give it a chance. So this is basically the only explanation. I'm here 22 years later. Yeah.
Well, that curiosity clearly stuck with you, because here you are, right? So what was that journey like after you started your first job? Kind of take us through what that looked like after.
Well, actually, and this is something which I will also never forget and will be always grateful for. Actually, just some months after I started, my boss told me that, okay, let's go to the NAMM Show. Of course, I had no idea what's NAMM Show, and I was still very newbie in the industry. I was still learning my catalogs.
Yeah.
But like I started in September, in January, I was already in Anaheim. And then like when I entered the NAMM floor for the very first time, like in 2005, this is, I think, when I fell in love. I thought like, okay, this is the industry I want to be in and I want to grow in. You feel immediately that it's not only about business only, margin only, sales pitches only. You feel that it's like about music, relations, sound, innovation, and you just feel it's rock and roll. So I was like, okay, that's something I want to be a part of. So actually, I should also be thankful for this opportunity to travel to NAMM like at the very early stage. It gave me a lot of inspiration and clear vision that this is something I want to evolve.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of the show, right? If you're trying to get a really good sense of what the industry looks like, that's the pond to really just soak it all in.
I totally agree. As soon as you enter, you meet all these amazing people and like all the talent, all the artists, all the stages, very different styles. You're like, oh, wow, music is here. So it's really great.
Okay, so fast forward, you did your first NAMM show, you fell in love, you said, all right, I'm here, I'm in it, I'm a music industry lifer. I want to ask you about kind of another part of your journey. At 26, you led your first International Meinl Drum Festival. So can you talk to us about that? Like, what was going through your mind at the time and what did you learn from it that has shaped your career today?
I mean, honestly, I think I didn't realize at that time the full scale of what I was doing. Again, I was still very young. I already had some experience in the industry. I was 26 by then. But Meinl Drum Festival at this moment was already a well-established event among drummers, happening just in Germany by this time. So we were building the first ever International Meinl Drum Festival in Moscow. And actually, it was like incredible international lineup of drummers, more than 1,500 guests at the event, like a crazy exhibition of several meters of like cymbal wall. So it was like huge, really. And months of preparations. I remember all these paperworks and logistics and venue and ticket sales. And I made a lot of mistakes, like really. And there were many reasons to make mistakes just when you put together such a big thing. I'll share one story. I think I'm still ashamed of it, but it was already the rehearsal day just before the event. So tomorrow is the event. Majority of the artists are already in the venue, actually doing the sound check or setup and so on and so on. And then I realized that one of our international artists, a very important drum star, is going to land in Moscow in about 5 minutes. And I have forgotten to organize an airport pickup and transfer for him.
Oh no.
Even now I have goosebumps when I'm telling you about this.
I feel it. Yeah.
I froze. I was like, oh no. Like I totally lost it. So, and we're talking also Moscow, everything is in Russian. We're talking 2009. There is no Uber. So it's like, oh, I went to Norbert. Norbert is the head of artist relations and events at Meinl and actually the, let's say, mind and soul behind Meinl Drum Festival. And he was a big mentor for me at that time. And we were putting all this together. He just looked at me when I informed him about this, and he told me very calmly, Julia, you'll find the solution. I know. And I was like, what's left for me? I found the solution. We met the artist. It was a happy end. But I tell you, like, it was one of the stories when I felt such a shame. I was like, oh my God. But then actually, like, with the time, you understand that when you're putting something big as Vinyl Drum Festival, you can't control everything. That's very normal, that like naturally a lot of things come out, you know. And at one point, you realize that this is probably the biggest learning, or one of the learnings. Like, you can't avoid the mistakes and you don't want to avoid them, you know. Like when you want to study any foreign language and you don't have a lot of time, you take intensive course. So for me, it was the intensive course of learning the language of drummers and event industry. And this is the best. This is like something which actually helped me. And this is like, fast forward, we will see a lot of consequences is how it actually helped me to build my other projects and next events. And interesting enough that Norbert this year, like just maybe last week, celebrated 35 years with Vinyl, the anniversary. And when he was asked what's his most memorable event, he told Vinyl Drum Festival in Moscow. And I was like so touched. I was like, Norbert, really? Like in all your career, this is what comes to your mind? Why? And he told me something very, very simple and very, very important. He told me like, you know what? Till now, I remember how many people we inspired with what we did. And I think for me, it's like my credo. In everything I try to do, the most meaningful part is to create something which inspires others. Otherwise, why are you doing it at all? So like Vinyl Drum Festival really is a huge part of my career and overall mental building and the mental stress building, let's say.
It's so interesting how hearing those two sides of this story now, because you're still sitting with the fact that you forgot the pickup of the artist and right, that's ingrained in your brain. I mean, at the time it was a very big deal, right? Because in the moment things can feel way worse. But it was such a small little thing to the greater success of the whole thing, which clearly stuck with him all these years later. So, wow, that's awesome. And you can say that you had a hand in that. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud that at that time, Norbert believed in me personally and in the whole company, and that we built this all together with Vinyl. It was a great, great experience.
So what came next? You did the festival. What came next in your career?
Well, actually, in 2012, I started with the Dario. And 14 years later, I'm here. In June, I will have 14th year anniversary with the Dario, and I'm very happy about that.
Oh, love that. What was your first role when you started with D'Addario?
Well, actually, in 2012, D'Addario was looking for somebody to do the market development in CIS and Russia. So basically like the former USSR bloc. And we all know what a great cultural and music background these countries have. And it was obvious because D'Addario at that time had a sales representative there, my dear friend Alan Hughes from UK. But it was obvious that it's not probably enough just like to manage sales through distributors, but we wanted to go to the next, I already say we, at that time it was D'Addario, wanted to go to the next level and probably build go-to-market strategies, artist relations, dealer trainings, merchandising, events. There are so many things you can do actually to enhance the experience of customers and partners working with the brand, right? So this was the idea. And this is like how through several rounds of interviews, I got this position, and in 2012, in June, I started with D'Addario as market development specialist. And this was my first role there. Yeah.
Wow. And then, so you then transitioned to sales ultimately. And you mentioned to me that you didn't think sales was for you. And you're not the first person to say that. But someone at D'Addario inspired you anyway. Why didn't you think the role was for you? And how was your mind changed?
Yes, that's right. Some years after like maybe already on this role, I got an offer from D'Addario to actually be the head of sales and marketing in CIS and Russia. And at that moment, I had a lot of resistance. I thought it's not for me. You know, my perception of sales probably at that moment was something which was stopping me from this, because I thought it's something like maybe pushy or a bit aggressive even, very numbers driven. And I really enjoyed my marketing, my events, my artist relations. It was like all rock and roll, as I told. And also, you know, it was important for me to share in the beginning, I'm not a musician, By this time, I already tried playing drums, but still it was just for fun, more than like really getting into a professional drums. I always have this imposter syndrome working with musicians. I always think like, come on, they know better anyway. So I also thought like, maybe it's not for me. Maybe I will not bring the impact which the area needs, like being a non-musician and so on and so on. So I was really resistant. But then here comes my dear female boss. Female, it's very important. I think it really played the role. Hi, Valerie, love you. She actually, I think, believed in me earlier than I believed in myself. But most importantly, she actually explained me that you can approach sales in a different manner and that it's not so much about being pushy and numbers, but it's also about building relations, building trust, finding some pains of partners and customers and trying to offer them solutions. So she actually explained me something which was very dear to my heart. And I thought like, okay, if we look at things like this, and she helped me a lot. She took me through the process. And often we say that women in corporate world, like overall in business world, are over-mentored and under-promoted. So everybody wants to teach us something like, oh, let me teach you, let me mentor you, let me explain you. Very nice. Like, okay, I want, but then like I want the next step. And it's very difficult to be promoted in some industries, specifically for girls. But Valerie exactly was this one who mentored and promoted. So I think that this really was also a big switch in my career. And frankly speaking, now I'm like, I think I'm addicted to sales. I have all the time this like really, I call it sales fever. Like when you get like really so into funny. The mode and like it gives you adrenaline. You're like, oh my God, I just found the solution for this matter. I just like, offered the product which could be successful. I just reached this target and so on and so on. So I think that Valerie saw it earlier than me, that probably it's in my nature, but also most importantly, she taught me like to approach sales very differently. And this is how it all happened. Yeah.
I love that. It almost feels like how excited that you talk about it too, that this isn't just, it's not a job, right? Like you are so passionate about this because it touches you deeply. And I love that perspective. I think that's really beautiful. And shout out to Valerie.
Absolutely. I'll tell you to watch this episode.
Oh, well, as you're looking back and reflecting, is there anything that you would say to your younger self after working so many years in these roles?
That's always a difficult question. There are so many things I told myself. Well, maybe the first thing I would say is not self-disqualify yourself, because I did it so many times, like, really thinking I'm not 100% ready. I think it's okay to trust the process. It's okay not to be ready 100% always. You will learn on the way and you will actually enjoy it more when like you are changing together with the role or with any challenge. And sometimes our weaknesses become our strength points. Like, for example, for me, I'm not a musician, but I learned to listen a lot because I thought that that's exactly, I'm like, it even helped me, I think, because I was never biased. Because as a musician, there is always some kind of opinion you have about certain product or, like certain artists. Yeah. And I was never biased. I was always like just listening what my business unit says, listening what my marketing team says, listening what most importantly, the artists and musicians using the product say, and teachers and kids, because it's very different. And then I was connecting all these dots and I was like building my understanding about the product based on all these voices. And it became my strength because like I learned to listen and I learned to connect. But in the very beginning, like even now, sometimes I'm like, I'm not a musician. Like, what can I bring? So believe in yourself and follow your passion. And it's okay not to be ready. You will enjoy the process.
I love that. So walk us through your role as the sales business development manager. What does it entail and what's driven your growth with it through these years?
For me, the business development is not only about expanding markets, but about actually building relations. Because when we're talking such a company as the Daria, you know that our CEO, John the Daria III, is the 9th generation of the family. So like when you're thinking something like this and you know that for more generations forward, this brand and these innovations will be on the market, it's really important to build relations. And when you're thinking relations building, it actually gives you much more freedom on how like you build your work. It's about connecting the company strategy with the reality on the markets, because all markets are very different and you build relationships also in a different way. And this is actually what I'm doing. Like there is one principle which I follow, maybe I can even call it philosophy. I once heard it from an amazing female leader, the general manager of Kraft Heinz in Middle East, Mary. She told this one phrase, know your land. And I actually realized at that time that that was always exactly the philosophy which I was following. I think that it's impossible to build the market from the spreadsheet. You need really to be there, to see it with your own eyes, to touch it, to connect with people, to understand their humor, their historical background, their music background, their even gastronomic preferences, like from all this, like, and I traveled like all across the regions I was taken care of. And now together with CIS countries, I have also Balkan markets and Baltic markets. And for some time, since I moved to Madrid, I also was responsible for Central Eastern Europe and even had a small, but like really nice project for the woodwinds in Spain. So I touched very, very different cultures. And this is exactly how I think I built the real relations, being there, knowing these people, connecting with them. I would say this is the real key to business development. This is how you see new opportunities. This is how eventually you expand the markets. This is how you grow in numbers. This is all built on this type of understanding the cultures, needs, and customers.
Is it safe to say that the role that you started with at D'Addario to where you are now, you've combined everything kind of into one role in a sense?
That's true. Overall, for me, D'Addario, it's not so much about titles, but about like different responsibilities I had. And I think that overall, the key of my growth was always the proactivity. I always wanted to try more. I always challenge myself. I always invent tasks for myself. And this is actually like how you're absolutely right. I connected with what I started with go-to-market strategies, like with the overall sales strategy and building the relations and bringing the values and DNA of the brand into the local markets and bringing the product into the hands of local musicians, because this is eventually what we are all here for in the music instruments industry. Like what we really mind is this real musician in this one country which enjoys playing music thanks to your product.
Yeah, I love that. I want to go a little deeper with you. Being a woman in sales leadership is its own experience, one a lot of our listeners know very intimately, but you bring something uniquely global to the conversation. Having roots in Eastern Europe and working across international markets, how has your experience as a woman in this industry shifted depending on where you've been? What stays the same? What looks different?
That's really interesting question and not an easy one. And you are right that the reality changes and the context changes depending on where you are. Overall, I would say even the perception of what is leadership is different and understood differently in different countries. You know, in some countries, they like to be straightforward and more direct, and others more balanced and like building on long-term relations and not being so direct. And you need always to adopt a little bit like to the environment. I never tried to change myself, but I was always trying to understand the environment better and the cultural code, let's say, of the country I'm working with and of the partner. And depending on this, we were like finding the solutions. And it's not only about the gender, but of course, like sometimes I felt I need to prove myself. And what always helped me being a woman in the industry is to be consistent with what you say and what you do. Come prepared. And I think this is really important. And a lot of listening. I already talked about that, but you can't underestimate the importance of listening, really. And then if you are authentic and you just keep being yourself, no matter which gender you are, and if you deliver results this way, like actually, no matter which country you are, no matter which gender, people will just want to build relations with you and trust you. I think that's the key. So this is how I try to approach it, working more with myself and understanding the reality in front of me better and deliver. When you deliver, others have nothing to say and judge.
Yeah. I love what you just said too. Leadership is different depending on where you go. Everyone in their own sense has their own idea of what leadership is. But then when you bring it into like a broader culture, I think that's also incredibly important too. I love that perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And it helps when you follow not only like your vision, but you actually see what like leadership or whatever definition you take for others. It helps you build the relations and get like the results you want, like really on a deeper level, because this way you talk the same language.
And also being your authentic self, I think is incredibly important. I know my friends who work in sales truly live by that idea of being your authentic self because it is all about the relationships that you build.
Absolutely.
You don't want it to be fake. You want it to be a true and deep connection.
Yeah. Truly, I'm a big believer in relationships, and no matter like the channel which you are using, actually, it gives you absolutely different opportunities when, as I told, like you are true to yourself and you are true to the results which you promised, you're consistent. And one other thing which always helped me, because like I'm very, I don't know how to say, like I'm emotional person and I'm passionate person. So I'm never hiding this. I really passionate about what I'm doing. And I saw so many times, like sometimes even it was funny, like with my male colleagues, that it's contagious when you're like in front of them with this like bright eyes and just like sharing what you believe in. They're like, okay, that's actually great. Let's do it. So I think that being authentic, being you, sometimes it even helps to open up others, you know, and give them a bit of this happy feeling, because everybody wants to trust in something really like nice and happy and like what brings joy and passion.
Yeah.
That's a great combination with the numbers and business and so on and so on.
As we were chattering, messaging back and forth to each other, you said that your kids have a way to describe the work that you do that I believe to be a beautiful reminder that who you are in the industry is a role model to your kids also. So can you share that little anecdote?
That's true. Yes, I have kids, twins. They're 11 now. But when they were younger, let's say when they were little kids, they were asked like, oh, what your mom is doing? Especially because their mom was traveling all the time, you know. They used to reply that the job of our mom is to give gifts to talented kids in music. And like when I heard that once, because the person I knew, she was like, but what exactly your job? I was like, yeah, I explained. And like, oh, interesting. Because your kids told that you're actually giving gifts to kids in music.
You give gifts
and
to kids.
You know what? I love it. I love it. I really, truly believe in it. I truly think that this is how I would describe what I'm doing. And this is actually one important direction which I always take at my career, no matter which role I had, is to support, like identify first the talented kids in music and then to support them. And when I say support them, it can be with product, or it can be creating content together, you know, like inviting them for creation of the video, or supporting their teacher because they play a huge role in their development. Also, like being in touch with their parents to understand like what's the plan, how we could support. And all this, I think, is the key to overall to development of our industry, where sometimes being a bit skeptical, like where all this world is going and what happens with like new generations not choosing music sometimes over some other easy endorphins, adrenaline. And I think that this is exactly how we could help the industry, because when you invest in a talented kid, you're not just helping one kid, you are helping the whole industry, because you give some inspiration, some support, some tools into their hands, and the chances that they stick to this industry and to music are higher. So yeah, I always think like, yeah, I love this job description. I'm delivering gifts into the hands of talented kids. Let it be. It's just because I was at so many contests and events where we were like on behalf of the Dario, like giving some presents. And when you talk to a 3-4-year-old, how you explain like your business development job. So I was like, you know what? I was just at the event giving the presents to talented kids. So nice job.
I love that. Do your kids play instruments now after watching you?
They actually asked for ukulele. And I have a very funny story connected to this, because we presented them ukulele and we left them at night, like on the sofa. And then the morning, it's a surprise. So in the morning, I hear 2 kids, because I always have a stereo. They're twins. I hear 2 kids crying. They were maybe 5, 6 at that time. So they cry. They come to me bringing the ukulele in the hands. And then I was like, what happened? And they're like, Mom, but this guitar has just 4 strings, not 6.
Oh no.
And back in 2004, when I entered the showroom, having no idea how many strings the guitar has, So they just tried to play a little bit. For now, they decided not to go into music. They are sport lovers. They do volleyball. And they also, especially one of them, is into programming and trying vibe coding and all these new opportunities which the AI time gives us. But yeah, they sometimes help me at the events. Sometimes I take them to the event so they can see the background. Because when they just see me on stage, giving the speech or giving the presents to talented kids, it's one thing. But when they see the background, me carrying the roll up and putting the booth and doing all this, I think it's important for them also to realize that in music industry,
it's not all glamorous.
We have many hats and it's not all glamorous. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
That's very true.
So one of the areas that I admire most about you is that you're very outspoken when it comes to women in business. And I've seen and watched you on LinkedIn travel to many conferences. But one area I'm personally excited to learn more about is your work with the Women's Empowerment Council based in Dubai, right?
Yes, that's true.
Can you talk to us about that? You're the Chief Strategic Partnerships Officer for the organization. Give us a basic overview, how you found it. And yeah.
Thank you for asking. I really love talking about it, actually. Well, first of all, I should say that Women's Empowerment Council, as we call it, We Council and We Convention, which is the annual event connected with the council, is bigger than just a platform. It's basically a community of active female leaders from very different backgrounds and industries. Like at the previous We Convention, we had female leaders from more than 30 industries on stage. And they're getting together to actually share their experience and to give tools and opportunities to the new generation female leaders. It's a more practical format and not only a big conference to meet and discuss things, but more to actually understand that when you build a dialogue between corporate and entrepreneurial world or private and public sectors, when you intershare the success and failure stories from no matter which industry, I will give you some examples. We have very different female role models there. It gives you the understanding that if we have a desire, we're capable of anything. And it's just about, again, believing in yourself and having the right tools into your hands. And then coming to try it even if you're not prepared, because there will be people around you who help you and mentor you and promote you. And this is how We Council and We Convention are built. We have on our stage, as I shared, different women, always some celebrities, Anna Vintour, Carla Bruni, May Musk, Maria Sharapova, sitting together with the female rocket builder, general manager of Microsoft or MasterCard, or Olympic gold medalists, you name it, founders of startups. There will be all types of professions and industries. There are a lot of practical formats, and this is what we specifically try to give a lot of attention, and they're very loved by the audience. And we annually gather more than 2,000 girls in one room. It's workshops and mentorship sessions where we can try things with our own hands and where our audience can make questions and connect with our amazing speakers. And this is basically the idea. Dubai, I know it sounds surprising, but overall, Dubai is a great international hub. You have there all types of leaders. And what's interesting that women are not actually asking for female empowerment or something like this in this region. They actually are already leaders in this region.
Absolutely.
They have so many female leaders, as ministers, as, general managers, as founders. The dynamics, how all this evolves and how many voices you have, it's something really, truly amazing. And of course, it's a very international community, and the convention is also a very international event. So also why Dubai is such an amazing place. So I encourage you to visit. Please come to one of the editions, because we need to add this, music and women. It's one of my dreams to showcase some amazing female musicians or female business leaders from the industry. Yeah.
That's awesome. So all of the events that you do happen in Dubai, correct?
For now, yes. We have plans to go to Europe, but for now, there were 3 editions and all of them were in Dubai. Yeah.
Wow.
And we have a lot of international crowd coming. There were people coming from US, from Japan, from France, from Poland, from Spain. It's really a truly international crowd. Yeah, it's very, very cool exchange. Yeah.
That's amazing. I know you've been involved for several years, and I've been so excited to talk to you about this because I think it's just the coolest opportunity to see an organization at that global level bringing in all of these people to inspire the next generation of leaders and have these conversations, because all of this is professional development and helpful for anyone in their career growth.
And overall, I started this project, I think, at the very right moment when I realized that I'm a female leader in quite a male-dominated industry. Let's confess that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I managed to build quite a successful career. So I thought like, okay, I'm sure there are many other girls out there who would be dreaming to join this industry, and we actually need their voices because, 50% of this world population are women. So 50% of our consumers are women. So we actually need more female voices in business, in the boardrooms, on the leadership positions. And I realized that what I was missing is like the role models. When I think about somebody who really reached something and a great role model, most probably it will be like a male figure. And look at the magazine covers and, all this stuff. So I thought, okay, maybe it's the time just like to help other girls, because I always feel that when you're already further into your career, it's not anymore about your journey, but you should also give away, like many people about whom I was already talking today gave back to me. So it's a true pleasure to be a part of organization, and being a chief strategy partnerships officer also gives you a lot of belief in the humanity, because you see how many companies, how many brands actually want to support this mission and the programs which they put together for their female leaders. And I mean, the Daria is also a beautiful example. Like a lot of female representatives of the family are working or were working in the company. And we have a lot of support as female employees in the company. So I was like, okay, I should tell the world about it. I should share it. I should help build this event together. Yeah.
I love that. Has there been a specific impact in your involvement so far that has carried with you in your day-to-day?
Maybe something which we call sisterhood. I know it sounds interesting, but I really felt it there when you see all these amazing women in the room sharing, first of all, their personal stories and their challenges, and then also like trying to give the real opportunities to the girls in the room and connect one with each other and start new projects. And you see that it's working all together. And like you just feel this energy. You understand that this platform is not so much about the individual growth anymore, but about the community and how we can grow together when we support. Yeah. So I think this was like the biggest learning, how the synergy of amazing female leaders from very different spheres can actually help each of them and together. And later, this is exactly what this world needs. This energy is building the next economy, especially in these like not easy geopolitical times,
Yeah.
It's really a great relief to see that we can create something like this and we can give back and support each other. Yeah, I think that's the biggest takeaway.
Oh my gosh. So everyone needs to go check out the Women's Empowerment Council.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
And then we all need to come to Dubai and hang out, because that sounds amazing.
Absolutely.
Sign me up. So I want to shift gears a little bit, and I'd love to talk to you about your family and major life transitions. Managing that as a successful woman in music while also being a mom. You did have a major life transition a few years ago and moved to Madrid, which was also a cultural change for you personally and professionally. Professionally, you were entered into new opportunities, and then personally, you helped yourself and your family adjust to a brand new culture. So can you talk us through some of the biggest lessons that you learned through that time?
Yeah. That's true. 4 years ago, we moved from Moscow to Madrid as a family. And it was probably, one of the biggest transitions in my life. And I should say I'm still going through these transitions. It was not easy. One of the things which really challenges you is when you start comparing, and it's unavoidable. You start comparing how it was to how it is, both professionally and personally. And this is actually where the biggest block is. And this is something which I worked on heavily, just not to compare, but try. You know what? I was adopting my own philosophy, know your land, but now in a very personal level. I was like, okay, Julia, know your land. This is your home now. And this is what you should learn about this culture, these daily routine things. Like people in Madrid have two breakfasts, the early one and then second one at 11. And then like they have lunch at about 3 p.m. and then dinner at about 9 p.m. So even
Wow.
these like,
Just the
exactly.
little things. Yeah.
A little thing already made me like, oh, wow, wait a moment. Like I can't eat so late. So, but when you know better why this happens, you understand the background, you live here, you feel the weather, even these kind of things, you talk to people, you really see that you should not compare. You should actually just build it like on the DNA of this place. Of course, I got a lot of help from my husband. Overall, I should say, along my career, because I was always traveling a lot and he's always here like to help and with kids. So he was born in Madrid, actually. He lived with me 18 years in Moscow, but then when we moved, he came back home. So he helped me a lot to understand the culture. And of course, like also we moved with kids and we had to help them adopt. They were always bilingual. We were talking to them through the childhood, like one parent, one language. So he was always talking in Spanish. I was always talking in Russian. So
Wow.
it was not so difficult for them for the language because they immediately took out their native Spanish part and they found friends. But it's also the responsibility which you have not only for you, but for the whole family, let's say, right? And at that time, we also left for a year our beloved dog with my father back there. So it was challenging all the time, I tell you.
Yeah.
And professionally, of course, also there were a lot of changes. And here the area supported me a lot. And actually, that was the moment when I got new markets like CE, Balkans, Baltics. And it allowed me also like actually to grow as always. It's a challenge and you think you're not ready and everything is falling apart, but then it gives you like a new door, a new opportunity. So I started traveling around Europe. I met our beautiful European team, hi team. And yeah, it helped a lot. And also I found the community of girls, friends, who actually share the cultural code and the values and also, work in corporations. So we are all the time like chatting about challenges, possibilities, opportunities, life, and so on. And this, I think, what helped a lot as well. So yeah, it's never easy. Immigration is never easy, believe me. And especially when you have not planned that. And we have not planned that. When you're forced and it happens all so fast, it's difficult. But the time heals and understanding your land helps a lot.
Do you have any advice for anyone who is contemplating changes like these also? Maybe not to the extent of yours, but any major life shift and change that helped you along the way, or as you reflect back, realize what helped you along the way?
Yeah, probably the key recommendation and learning, like coming from me personally, is not to compare. It will just block your progress. So try to enjoy and live this exact day in this exact place where you appear to happen. Find people who share what you feel and your values. And again, be true to yourself. It's okay not to be ready. As we already told many times in career and life, and when you move to a new place, you are not ready. Oh, believe me, you are not ready.
That's when the most growth happens.
Exactly. Just enjoy the process, meet new people, learn the local language. I think it's really very important to talk the language of locals and just be, I would say, patient and take care of yourself because there will be a lot of pain and a lot of like mental load as well. And you will have some dark days when you don't know where is your home anymore. But step by step, you'll be there and just keep believing.
I love that. Okay, Julia, we have one more question. It's our favorite one that we love to end every episode with. Who is Julia outside of work? What brings your joy and what fills your cup?
Well, I'm working so much that I actually never call my job a job. It's just part of my life. So it's like,
yeah,
I should say that it will be an honest observation. So I'm working a lot, but of course I love to spend time with my family. You already know I have kids. I have my dog back with me. He's 13 years now. So he's like really a very, very, very cute and smart dog. And he gives me a lot of unconditional love.
Oh,
and that's beautiful. So we love to travel. I love to travel, but we travel a lot with the family. And my husband is just driving and we're going across Spain and there are so many beautiful corners. Please come to Spain. I really want you to see how beautiful is this country and what opportunities also it gives. And my kids are now like at this age when they're changing a lot. So I think that for me, it's challenging on one side, but also a true pleasure to see like how they are evolving and what values they take, what challengers are in front of them and how they react to them. It's really a very important experience always as the mother and working mother who spends so much time at work, like to have a quality time with your kids and to see like what they are going through. So I really enjoy that. I should say that I'm also kind of like gastro geek, if you can say it like this. I really enjoy eating, but like finding very special places or maybe some local places. And I actually believe that you can understand people better and build relations better, or even solve some conflicts if you know about the gastro habits and culture of this region or of this person. I think it really plays a big role and it's underestimated. Every time I go to a business trip, I try to find any very local place and talk to the owner and find out like what's their background and like, what are the traditions and so on. And every time any of my friends or colleagues are traveling, they write me, Julia, we go to this place. Like, please give us recommendations, because they know I will always like find the best ones.
I know. Food isn't a language in and of itself. It's,
You understand me?
I do.
Yes. And yeah, I enjoy music already, not at the level of like, analyzing it, but like just enjoying going to the Teatro Real for opera with my friends, with the girls whom I enjoy having here. And it's just like such a pleasure to live life.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'm a happy person to be surrounded also by amazing people. And this is also one of the things which I think we should appreciate more. I'm lucky to have some like really close friends and partners and colleagues who supported me on the way or were crazy enough to follow my idea or to offer something cool. And this synergy and this understanding that you are not alone is something which helps me on the way, both in personal and professional life. So I enjoy being surrounded by people. Yeah. I just love to build relations.
Social butterfly.
Exactly. That's beautiful. I will remember that. Thank you.
I love it. Julia, I just can't thank you enough for doing this and for being here. I have so much respect and admiration for you. And just because people are going to be listening to this and not seeing this, you've had a smile on your face the entire time. You're just so positive and you just have such a beautiful spirit and soul. And this industry is so, so lucky to have you in it. And you just do amazing work. So thank you so much for telling your story and for being here.
I also want to say thank you for putting together this amazing podcast. I think we need more role models. We need more stories, actually. So please continue doing this. And if anybody has any questions, like please connect. And I think that the most important thing which I would like to share is that once one of my friends told, music is territory of love. And I think that in these complicated times, we all will confess that they are not the easiest in the world. I think that we're working in the most beautiful industry ever. And music is territory of love. So let it be.
Let it be. Thank you, Julia.
Thank you so much, Natalie.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Revoicing the Future. You can subscribe to the podcast on all major streaming platforms or on our website. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected on all things women in the music industry. This podcast was co-produced and edited by Natalie Morrison, Stephanie Lamond, and Julia Olson.